Good morning, friends, and welcome to Friday. And as we sort of move toward the conclusion of a week of looking at what's on hand, what you've got at hand, I trust that as your Covid Chaplain, I can bring more encouragement and stimulus to you to enjoy the life you have, to be blessed, and to be a blessing. So today I thought I'd talk to you about the fact that little is much when God is in it. Now, that's not a biblical quote, it's just a saying that people have. Little is much when God is in it. And I want to talk to you, as I have during the week, about the things that you've got at hand. And today my focus is in seeing what God can do to multiply what you have. Was it yesterday that I talked to you about how that we often have plans for what we're going to do when we have the money, when we can do it? And I was talking about you sort of learning how to be generous right now with what you've got. Maybe a spin-off of that is the idea too that we can feel like I will deal with this thing when God provides all the resources, I've only got a little, and so I don't want to go ahead with this because I'm waiting for God to give me much. But little is already much if God is in it. I think of my dad who just passed away last year, and a wonderful testimony out of the time that he went into the town of Coffs Harbour in northern New South Wales in Australia, and he planted a church, and they had to build a building. Now, my father was a builder, so he was putting in a lot of the labour, but he wasn't a bricklayer and he wasn't an electrician. There were other things they needed people for. And he was asking the people to give as God prompted them and as they were able, and they collected enough money to be able to buy the bricks for this part of the building. And so my dad thought about it and prayed about it and said, what do we do? God, we've only got enough money for the bricks. We haven't got any bricklayers. I can't lay bricks, but we can't afford to pay a bricklayer, but what do we do? And he had this real sense from God, use the little that you've got. Don't wait for more. Don't sit around waiting until you've got 5 times that amount and then move forward. If God's going to bless you, if God is with you, then step out with the little that you've got. And then let God worry about the rest. So they went ahead, and my dad, of course, knew what to do. Being a builder, he was able to measure up how many bricks were needed, and he ordered it up, and it was just the amount of money they got. And they got the bricks delivered on a Friday afternoon to the construction site, which was right beside where they were meeting in a smaller area. And that weekend, God moved in a wonderful way. And by that Sunday night, there were several young people, young adults, young family people who got born again. They were led to the church somehow. They heard the gospel. They heard my dad preaching, and they gave their heart to Jesus. And one of them at the end of the meeting, after being prayed for down the front and giving his life to Jesus and getting his first Bible, like really elementary stage of their journey with God, this guy said to my dad, what's the story with that pile of bricks out there? And Dad said, well, we bought them to be able to, put the walls up on this building that we're constructing next door. And the guy says, well, I'm a bricklayer and I'm actually off for the next 3 weeks. I can lay it for you. It'd be my joy to be able to do something for God now that he's really touched my life. And one of the other guys too turned out to be a brickie. And so Dad had 2 bricklayers to lay all of those bricks because he stepped out with the little bit he had. And he used it. You see, little is much when God is in it. If my dad hadn't bought those bricks, if he'd kept the money in the bank and sat back thinking, we're going to play cautious here, we don't have enough to pay for a bricklayer, so we just won't buy the bricks, there would have been no faith. There would have been no stepping out. There would have been no daring and no adventure. And if those same men could have come along and got saved, they would not have seen a pile of bricks outside. They wouldn't have asked the question. They wouldn't have volunteered to be able to lay those bricks. It was just that Dad went ahead and used the little that he had. Oh, friends, I wonder how many times we all miss the blessing of God because we don't just use the little bit we've got. We keep waiting for some big amount that God might give us. Hey, friends, what have you got in your hand? What's at hand in your world? Let God bless it. If you step out in faith and just use the little bit you've got, then trust God to put more and more and more on top of that, to send along the bricklayer that you need or whatever it may be, because you took a step of faith and you used that little bit. Now, I know that when people speak on God's behalf, sometimes those words go straight into the heart of 1 or 2 people and the other people say, nice idea, haha, very sweet. So I recognize that as I say this right now, there are people listening to me who will be challenged in heart, yes, and they'll know exactly what the Spirit of God is touching them with, that they've got to take a step of faith with or step out in. It won't be bricks necessarily at all, but there'll be something they'll resonate with. For the rest of you, appreciate the testimony. My dad was an awesome man of God. I just love him and miss him and looking forward to catching up with him in glory. But I want you to be able to say, God, what does that translate into in my life? What are the things at hand, the little things I have that I really need to take more seriously? I need to do something more serious with them. I need to see your hand of blessing on them. And then step out in faith and let God bless the little, the little. I don't know how little what you've got is. Maybe you've got very, very little. But little is much when God is in it. Little is much when God is in it. Let God bless that. Look, Jesus could take a boy's lunch and feed 5,000 people. Huh? Little is much when God is in it. So commit to God the little that you have, no matter how little it is. Walk through your house and say, God, look at this. These are the little bits I've got. This is all I've got. This is all I've got. The car doesn't even work. Lord, you can see what I've got in my world. But Lord, I let you bless the little that I have. May it become much in your world and in your hands for the blessing of your people and to bless me as well in the process. Why don't you look for that, your own blessing and the blessing of others coming to you because you recognize that little is a great abundance when God blesses it. Go to it. Have a look around your home. Begin to make that your faith claim today. And as you do, may God bless you.